Hi there, it's Paul in Perth here. And this BL Mazda 3 that I've got, we're getting towards the end of its life cycle. And one of the things I do right at the end is I drain out the petrol. Petrol's quite expensive in Australia, as it probably is in your part of the world as well. And apart from that, at the recyclers, it's almost a contaminant for them. So I take it out as a benefit to me and a benefit to them. What I wanted to show you today is what's called a jiggle hose. So you're probably familiar with a siphon hose, which is effectively just like a piece of garden hose. This is a jiggle hose. So if you can hear that, it's actually got a little marble in the end. Can you see that marble in the end there? Yeah. So what that does is, we're about to stick it into the petrol tank, and when we jiggle it, the marble goes from a blocking to a releasing and a blocking to a releasing position. And what that means is it'll allow liquid up, and then it'll stop it falling back, and then allow it to come up and stop it falling back. So it's effectively like a stop valve, if you think of it that way. And look, when I see people on the internet that are sucking on a hose and then get a mouthful of petrol, it just freaks me out, all right? Please don't do that. This is a much better way. So if the camera goddess wants to come down, what I'm going to show you is what I do with these BLs just before I send them off to scrap. So can you see up there? That's the nozzle from the petrol filler. So if I take my end of my jiggle hose and put it in there, I'm now right into where the fuel is. So I'm into the petrol tank here now, and the end of that jiggle hose will be in the fuel. So if I put the other end in this 20 litre jerry can I've got here, and I jiggle the end, can you hear that? Right? That's the marble flicking backwards and forwards. And if I show you, just to prove that it is coming out, there's the fuel there, okay? So very quickly, I've been able to start a siphon. And as long as I've got that jiggle hose in the lowest part of the tank, which I believe I have, I'll have the end of the hose will be down here somewhere. I can just let that run, and that's gonna fill that tank up. I checked the fuel gauge before I started, and there's roughly a third of a tank, and a third of a tank in a BL. A BL's got between 52 and 55 litres, depending on which tank option it's got. So about a third of a tank. Oh, hang on. We're sucking a bit of air, hold on. There we go. Good work. Okay. The 20 litres is about how much I've calculated is in this tank, which means it's pretty much going to run out when this jerry can is full. So it's all good for me. You can stay and watch. It's gonna take probably 3 minutes, although that's actually filling quite fast. So you can stick around if you want. Now see how that's sucking a little bit of air. So sometimes when you see it sucking the air, you'll just have to either pull back or push forward on the hose end, just to get what you're trying to do is you're trying to make sure that the end of the hose is fully submerged, basically, and that you're hearing that good rattling sound of the marble. So you can see here there is, I don't know if that's coming up on camera, but I am sucking a bit of air, and actually the marble stopped rattling. So I've actually lost my siphon at that point. So I'll need to find. Actually, that tank's almost empty. Okay, looks like I've emptied the tank. Oh, okay, yeah, and I'm up to about there. So I've pulled about 15 litres out. So you can see in a very short period of time, I've pulled 15 litres out. I've virtually emptied the tank. Basically, I've emptied it. If you imagine that was sitting down in the bottom, there will be a certain level of fluid in the bottom that you just can't get, because you can't get the full end of the hose to be submerged, and you won't get that bit of fuel out. So there's probably maybe 1 litre, maybe 1.5 litres left in that tank, but I've pulled out about 15, maybe a little bit more actually, and that's good. I'll chuck that in one of my friend's cars. So that's jiggle hoses. Now, if I've helped you, please like and subscribe. If you put a comment, please tell me what country you're from. And thanks a lot from Paul in Perth. I'll catch you later. All right, cheers.